Poised for Exit is the weekly show for business owners and advisors who want smarter strategies, stronger companies, and better exit outcomes. I'm your host, Julie Keys, award-winning certified exit planner, speaker, and lifelong entrepreneur, helping private company owners build value, plan well, and exit on their own terms. Every exit has real stakes. That's why Poised for Exit brings in top experts to share practical insights that help owners grow value, reduce risk, and create stronger outcomes. Now, let's jump in. Welcome, everyone, to the Poised for Exit podcast show. Today's guest is an exit planning thought leader and EPI faculty friend of mine. He's built an incredible practice helping other advisors scale their own businesses, just like he did before he sold. You're going to love hearing the wisdom and wit of this well-known SEPA, so stay with us.
This is Andy Kosamba, president of Calhoun Companies. We understand that selling your business is a big deal. Since 1908, Calhoun Companies has been confidently connecting buyers and sellers. From small family shops to large corporations, our expert brokers walk with you and guide you every step of the way, whether you're looking to retire or simply for a fresh start. If you're curious what your business could sell for, or if you're ready to start the process, head to calhouncompanies.com for a free and confidential consultation. Calhoun Companies, the confident choice for buyers and sellers.
My name is Todd Grau, and I'm the president of the Twin Cities Exit Planning Chapter. If you're a business owner and advisor and want to learn more about the world of exit planning, you're invited to visit the Twin Cities chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. You can expect top-level education delivered by subject matter experts at every monthly meeting. Grow your network and draw from the learning that could be a game changer for your business or your practice. There's no pressure to become a member, so come and see what the buzz is all about. Our meetings are held the second Wednesday of the month, 7:30 to 9 a.m. See the show notes for more information and registration links.
Exiting your business is a big deal, both financially and emotionally. I'm John Marquet, certified exit planning advisor with TrustPoint. We help business owners transition smoothly on their terms. Our focus is on maximizing value, minimizing stress, and giving you confidence in what's next. Whether you're selling or passing the torch, we make the process seamless. Start planning today at trustpointinc.com. That's trustpointinc.com.
Hello, Poised for Exit listeners. We are here today with my friend Justin Goodbread, who is the founder and CEO of Relentless Value Coaching. Justin, welcome back to Poised for Exit.
Hey, Julie, thanks for having me.
So glad that you could join us again. It's been a while. So much has happened. We just saw each other in Nashville. We got to present together at the EPI Summit, so that was great. And I got to meet Emily.
That's right. She's everything to me. You know that.
That was fantastic. Yeah, so really great. And you've always been such an inspiration to me. So it's an honor to have you on the show, and it's inspiring to just see what you've done with your practice and in the exit planning space. Like I said in the show opener, you really are a thought leader in this space. And I know that a lot of people look up to you and respect you and, admire what you have done, but also are interested in what you have to say. So let's start maybe a little bit from the beginning and talk about, I know obviously you've been a SEPA for a long time, but you had a practice as a wealth manager prior to that. And so I'm wondering for the folks out there who are new SEPAs, how did things change for you, like from your practice before and then after becoming a SEPA?
Yeah, absolutely. And Julie, I look up to a few people. You're one of the people I look up to. So thanks for having me on the show. It's such an honor to be here with you. I really mean that, friend.
Thank you.
So, I'll take the question of what did I do after I became a SEPA, but it's not what I did after, it's what I did before that mattered the most for me. In my own life, I'd already started and sold 3 companies before earning my SEPA designation. And if I had known then what I know now, obviously we've all said that statement, the numbers that I exited from those 3 companies would be vastly different. So in about 2015-16, I had a dear client of mine who was trying to figure out how he was going to close what we now call the wealth gap. And every simulation we could run through a Monte Carlo analysis, through a Money Guide Pro and Navit plan back in the day, one of these technologies showed that there was no way for this individual to save their way to retirement. And so I have this, one of my core values, Julie, you know this about me, is there's got to be a way. If you see something, figure out how to get it done. And so this client had the same value. So we're sitting here talking, he's like, Justin, there's got to be a way. Yes, there's got to be a way. Let's figure out how to close this gap. introduced a CEPA program in my life. I began searching, found the CEPA program in its infancy, and actually sat through one of the live exams up in our live classes in Chicago. Came back from that particular exam and my eyes were reconnected to the business ownership mindset I had beforehand. You see, when we came into the financial industry, I became a technician overnight. I became the financial advisor versus the business owner. And so in the CEPA program, you've seen this. It reconnects the thought pattern back to being a business owner. So I walked away from that program and did something a little foolish now in hindsight, I guess. I walked away from $250,000 of recurring revenue that I had built up underneath a broker-dealer model and said this practice that I'm building for myself, if I put my business owner hat on, is not going to position me as well as the people I want to serve for the future. So I will close that company down, walked away, didn't realize you could sell it, a little dense sometimes, Julie, walked away and started an RIA from scratch on December the 17th, 2017. We grew that company radically fast using scaling principles, some of the value acceleration methodology language that we've learned, as well as the last 20 years at that time of my business knowledge. We took that company from a startup to an 8-figure valuation in 49 months and then exited. And since then, it's been just a journey. It's been phenomenal.
Wow, that's fantastic. So when you say we, tell me about who is on your team and how did you go about doing that?
Yeah, I use the word we tactically because that's the way we as business owners should be communicating. It's never about us, right? And so at that particular time, I had a colleague, which was like a founding partner in the company. I went to him, told him my goals, and ended up structuring and buying him out, making him an employee. So he became my first junior advisor in parenthesis and a virtual assistant. I'm sorry, an assistant, actually not virtual at that point. So we had 2 of us plus myself. And here I was facing not only how do I rebuild a financial advisory practice with no clients because of the non-solicit and all those agreements, how am I going to feed these 2 families at at that time, about $120,000 a year carry for salaries between the 2 individuals. So, I'm trying to feed my wife who's at home, homeschooling our kids, these 2 individuals and no client. And I did something a little radical. I told you a little weird sometimes, Julie. I went out and I hired a coach because I'm sitting here facing what I'm looking at, saying, how in the world do I not only feed my family, but I've committed to these 2 families. How do I feed them? So I went and hired a coach and he charged me $10,000 a month. Now get this. I still don't have any income. I have no clients. I got to feed these 2 families plus my own. And now I'm going to pay this coach $10,000 a month. And he made a statement to me, Julie. He said, Justin, you need to pay me because you need to. You need to pay me. You need to. He kept emphasizing that need. And what he boiled down to is that most of us as advisors are extremely technical. And until we can get outside the jar, so to speak, and read the label, we can't grow to where we want to be. And so when he was saying you need to pay me, what he ultimately got through my thick skull was I need somebody who is going to challenge my technical mindset and keep it constantly in a business mindset. And lo and behold, like I said, I paid him that significant amount of money for a 4-year period. But in hindsight, it was that training, that constant mentorship, that constant impact in my life that allowed my company to scale so dramatically, but also allowed me to work with over 200 business owners and radically scale their companies during that same time period. It was a radical movement, but it worked significantly for us.
Wow. So you were in the process of doing it yourself as well as helping other clients and business owner clients do the same thing. I had this conversation recently with another advisor who was similarly doing the same with clients. And honestly, we really can't be good advisors if we're not practicing it ourselves, right? Taking it out of theory, putting it into practice, that's where the real rubber meets the road. And that's what you did.
I say it a little bit more harshly than your kindness that you say. I would say that we're often being a fraud. If we have not implemented the things that we're going to teach, then we're defrauding ourselves plus the client from it. So there's only 3 ways to which we can teach or help others. We can teach from the book knowledge that we gain. Well, that's like I'm getting ready to go to Alaska caribou hunting, Julie, and that's like me going to New York City and picking any random person off the street and saying, teach me how to hunt in Alaska. That makes no sense. So we can either speak from our education, we can borrow somebody else's experience, which is what I did. I didn't have the experience, so I went out and hired a coach who had done this. I borrowed his experiences. And then the third thing, which now we all want to be at, is we want to teach from our own experiences. So literally my sales pitch, when he said, hey, Justin, we're going to charge you $10,000 a month. How do you want to do this? I'm like, how do I pay for this? We just gone through 7 years of tribulation. And Julie, we were poor with like 6 O's between the P and the R. We were poor. I mean, it was beans and rice, love, and duct tape at the Goodbread family. And this cat wanted 10 grand a month. Plus I had to pay the salaries of these two individuals, plus feed my family. And he said, figure out a way if you want it bad enough. So I did exactly what you just were alluding to. I went out to 5 of my clients and I said, hey, I don't know how to do what I'm fixing to do. I'm going to hire one of the top experts in this field. I'm going to pay them 10 grand a month. Each of you pay me $2,000 a month. 90 days, and I was able to cover that 10 grand a month nut. And so as he was teaching me, I was doing the work, and then I was turning around teaching them. That's a biblical example that I follow in my life.
Love that.
So I'm teaching them, and get this. 5 years into this whole journey, all 5 of them plus myself had valuations north of 8 figures. It was ridiculous.
Wow. That's a great story. So are you still in touch with those?
Oh yeah, they're all friends. I speak to them almost weekly.
Of course, of course. Are they? What industries are they in?
Yeah, so we had dentist. We had a coal mining company that they did like heavy equipment. We had an auto repair company. That company is now producing about 32 mil a year. Ridiculous. It's just phenomenal.
Fantastic.
A pool building company, and then another advisor, believe it or not, another advisor who has been on my show several times, but he's done phenomenal as well.
And so now your programs are aimed at advisors primarily, or are you still working with business owners too?
Yeah, great question. So after that I sold my companies, I was acquired by a national firm. They made me the president. We took on a national level, a big company, had billions of assets, or AUM as we would call as financial advisors, and we 2.5x that company in 18 months using the same exact principles that my coach was teaching me. Had one of the largest transactions in 2023. And then I was like, I want to do something totally different. I'd never done this, and Julie, this was the hardest thing for me to do, was to build a lifestyle business. I'm such a value-driven business owner. I'm like, I wonder if I can work as a financial advisor managing more than $1 million of revenue per year and only work 1 day a month. I wonder if I can do that. And I'm not talking about check emails the rest of the time. I'm talking about walk into the office, do my job, and walk out. So for the last 3 years, I've been playing that game to see if it's possible. And it is. It's pretty easy once you understand the formula. And then so actually the coaching business of us coaching financial advisors on how they can do the same, radically scale their companies, and now doing a lot of public speaking and writing my 4th, 5th, and 6th books under pen right now. I told Emily, I said, you know, if I'm going to live to my fullest potential, if I'm going to accomplish the things that I believe God has had us accomplish, then it's now time for me to walk away from being an advisor. And that is being an advisor to clients sitting in the financial advisor position. And that is really a lot for me to swallow. It's been a very emotional journey this last year, but effective this month as we're recording this, I'm no longer a financial advisor. I now just solely work on helping financial advisors radically scale. I'm not talking about growth 10%, 20%, 30%. I'm talking about radically scale their companies and reach decamillionaire status, or I'm speaking or I'm writing. It's a lot of fun.
I know you're doing a lot of writing and speaking. We're going to get to that in a minute, but I want to talk about the process by which you're able to help these practitioners scale. Is it mindset also?
Well, it's a little bit of everything, right? If we think it, so it becomes our reality. Henry Ford made the famous statement that my children have heard me say it ad nauseum. If you think you can or think you can't, you're correct. You're right.
Totally true.
So yes, it's a lot of mindset, but we walk through a 5-step framework, and then each of these frameworks we dive really deep, and you'll recognize some of the terminology through the SEPA program because of the impact that Chris and Scott Snyder have had on my life and my ability to work within the community. So we begin with Relentless Foundation. That is who you are, where you're going. In the SEPA world, we talk about the third act, if you will. We talk about life after the exit. What we've learned now through the program and through all the different inputs from the business owners is actually we should begin thinking about life after the business immediately. Now, that's going to cause us to do the most difficult work of all, Julie. And here's what's sad to me is the vast majority of us as SEPAs who are technicians, we avoid this work. I call it the introspective work. It's difficult. For example, who is Justin Goodbread really? What are the values that I use to guide my life? What is my vision for my company? How am I going to accomplish this over the next 2 or 3 years? So those are foundational. And the reason why I say they're foundational is because at some point when we begin to scale the companies, your value misalignment, when you bring in employees into the company, that misalignment is not going to be that employee is a bad employee. It's going to be that something is not in alignment with your ethos. And we as business owners, we don't know how to recognize that. Or whenever we land a client, because they're a good revenue source for us, but they end up being an awful client to work with, it's a misalignment of our values. When we're speaking into the ethos, talk about relentless execution, we're going to get to in a second, but when we speak into the ethos around the attract phase, we're communicating our values, our vision and mission openly, and just like in life, those who resonate, the syntactical resonation, what we say and who we are, they're going to come and follow us. So
yes.
Relentless Foundation is the very first step. It takes us about 90 days to work through that in our coaching business, but it is foundational from which everything else is built. So we begin with that every single time. May I go through the 5 steps real fast then?
Yeah, why don't you? That'd be great.
Sure. So Relentless Foundation, I spent a little bit of time there because it's important for us to understand as technicians, we often overlook it and we try to speed through that work fast. Friends, don't. Slow down. No matter where you're at in your practice, why are you here? Where are you going? Who do you serve, etc. So then after Relentless Foundation, we go through Relentless Examination. This is an introspective, extrospective position. You know, we know that the business could have 256 metrics if it's a service-based business. We want to analyze those 256 metrics and determine which of those metrics are holding the company at bay, almost like a kink in a water hose. We got to discover that and unkink it. And we're consistently unkinking to allow what's called throughput or speed, velocity to work through your company. But whenever we look at the company, that's the technical side that we love to lean into as advisors. But on the personal side, we have to make sure our person and our family and our extracurricular activities are aligned with our company. Hard work to do. That's what we call Relentless Examination. Then we go to what many of you have seen on the board during the classes that we teach, Relentless Execution. Most of us have more ideas when we shake a stick at. So when we get into execution, we dive deep into 4 main elements. I'm going to come back to those 4 main elements in a second. After we execute, then we go into our exit. Exit can be, obviously, as we've learned, an internal, external transfer. It could be an ESOP, could be a number of different things. And as we're going through those first 4 steps, Relentless Foundation, Relentless Examination, Relentless Execution, and then a Relentless Exit, ultimately Relentless Freedom is discovered. Most business owners that we serve, including the advisors who joined the SEPA program and the hundreds of you who are listening to this podcast or thousands who've gone through the program, most of us say the same thing. We want freedom. That may be freedom of pocketbook, it may be freedom of time, it may be freedom of impact, influence, but we want some sort of freedom that we don't presently have. And so the quest across those 5 areas is to ultimately gain that freedom, whatever that token is that's pulling at your particular desired outcome. So I know we want to dive into execution for the rest, but those are the 5 steps Julie walk everybody through.
We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back.
Most business owners wait too long to plan their exit, and it can cost them. By the time they're ready, tax-saving opportunities may be long gone. The CPAs at John A. Knutson & Company help you plan early so you can maximize value, minimize taxes, and exit on your terms. With over 100 years of guiding ownership transitions, including buy-sell, succession, and ESOPs, we know the best outcomes transpire from planning ahead. If exiting your business is a future possibility, start now. Visit jakcpa.com. That's jakcpa.com.
Thinking about selling your business in the next few years? Don't wait to start planning. I've seen too many business owners wait too long and regret it. Freedom Financial Partners are financial advisors who specialize in exit planning for business owners, helping you reduce tax surprises, protect what you've built, and quantify how much you need from the sale. Their proven process helps you think beyond your business so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. The longer you wait, the fewer options you may have. Download your free financial readiness assessment today at ffpforme.com/exit. That's ffpforme.com/exit. Right, and so what you're talking about really is laying a solid foundation in order to scale, because that has to be there first.
If we don't lay all that foundational work in place and we just try to go out, it's almost like my dad used to paint the picture of taking manure, throwing it up against the cow barn. Some of it will stick, some of it won't, okay? That doesn't work. In order for us to rapidly scale, we have to get laser focused around the things which allow us to scale. And let's quantify scaling in my definition.
Please.
Whenever I talk about scaling, I'm not talking about the organic growth. I just read a study in the financial advisory space that said the average firm grew 17% over the last 3 or 4 years, but only 3.2% of firms grew through organic growth. Most of the growth came from market performance. And so whenever I'm talking to financial advisors about scaling, I'm not talking about just allowing the markets to lift your book. I'm talking about how do you take your revenue from $600,000 to $1.2 million in 18 months? How do you go from $3 million to $7 million in 36 months? How do you make this formulaic so that you can perceive the outcome and thus attain freedom?
Yeah, we're talking about business growth.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Right. So love that. And so I'm gonna switch to another revenue stream here for you, because I know that it's all like tied together, right? But I know you do a lot of speaking and teaching. So tell us about what your primary topics are, who your audiences are, where are you going?
Yeah, I've had the privilege so far to speak in 3 countries this year as the time we're recording this. Most of the time it's financial firms or insurance-based broker-dealers who've asked me to speak. We've had several local RIAs that have a few hundred advisors, even down to some small regional RIAs that have had me come and actually physically present like in a public speaking style workshop day. In fact, the Exit Planning Institute just had me present for 3.5 hours on the growth and impact stage, a deep dive into that relentless execution. So I love speaking with the financial advisory community, but it's not just that. We've been reached by several other industries like the HVAC industry, the plumbing industry, because the way I say it, if it works in the financial world, as rigorous as the compliance rules are there, it works anywhere. And so we've had a lot of small companies reach out to speak, but specifically around your question, what we speak to. So in that relentless execution phase, there's really only 4 things that matter to every service-based business out there. So if you're an advisor, there's only 4 things that matter. And that is, can you attract the right people, the person that you're called to sit across the table from? Can you convert them from an onlooker or a window shopper to a paying customer? Can you deliver on a structured process to which they purchase to alleviate their pain? And then can you retain them? Can you retain them into raving fans? Those are the 4 areas that I'm often asked to speak around, and we dive deep into each of those areas. For example, if we're talking about attract, let's say we want to go get new eyeballs, we don't go out and just necessarily start spewing things on LinkedIn like so many new CEPAs do. It just causes you a tone deafness to your immediate industry or to your immediate market. Instead, what we do is we teach that if you go and build the delivery phase first, get it knocked out on the exact monumental change that your customer, your avatar is going to experience when they begin working with you, then we can build the delivery. See, by the way, Steve Jobs famously said the delivery, the customer experience is the most important thing. So how do we build that first? Then what type of syntactical conversion do we have to have with that customer? There's 7 archetypes or 7 personality types when it comes to buying that we have to align the offer with this syntactical conversation around the purchasing process. We have to do that before we ever get to the attract phase. So whenever I'm speaking, I illustrate how this works technically, then we dive deep into the weeds and say, now let's build it for your company. It's a lot of fun to talk around those things.
Yeah, I bet it is. I bet it is. And you know, to your point about the advisory firms that you're actually working with and helping them grow and scale, you're also teaching them how to establish that trusted advisor relationship, because we know that in an exit situation, many business owners end up dropping that relationship and going elsewhere.
Yeah.
After all those years, right, of working with someone. Yeah.
It's one of the weaknesses right now in the financial world. You know, I remember what it was like in the early days to do whatever you could to win a client. And I never wanted to go back there. And so a lot of us, and especially in the financial world, we remember those first 2, 3, 4 years was all about hustle. And anybody and everybody who could like fog a mirror we wanted to work with. But as we grow and as we now build an exit planning practice, helping business owners radically scale their companies, close their wealth gap, their value gap, the profit gap, as we do that, now that business owner places more trust in us. But statistically speaking, over almost 30% of high net worth clients are looking at changing their advisor in the next 2 years. So we as financial advisors, we as CEPAs, we as depending on whatever your discipline is within the process, we want to maintain that customer after the sale. In order to do that, you have to become the purple cow. And that's what we teach the financial advisors to do. You have to become something that is so unique and so different that it stays top of mind for that advisor or that customer. And as they walk through that process, they lean into your world and they can say now what I said earlier in the conversation, that those 5 individuals who walk with me through this journey, we're friends and we speak weekly. Those individuals ended up positioning my companies for a significant valuation because of the work we were doing. That's what you want as advisors. But it doesn't begin with us going out and just posting anything and everything in the ethos in terms of attracting people. It doesn't begin with us continuing to try and have high conversion rates or lean into our salesmanship ability. What it begins with is crafting a journey that is not cyclical in nature on a yearly basis, but it's linear in nature over their lifetime. And illustrating to that business owner that, yes, we're going to go through this transition, you're going to have an exit, and then after the exit, this is what it looks like. And you have to illustrate that the entire process.
Yeah. Well, and they have to be able to visualize themselves as a part of it as well.
Well said.
Right?
Well
so
said.
that it's not on the outside of them, it's on the inside of them. And then this is something that I am doing and that they're claiming, right? And it's part of the new identity. So let's talk about some client situations as long as we're on that.
Yeah.
The relentless coaching, relentless value coaching, I'm sorry. So that practice and the work that you've done for advisors, I know there's so many who follow you and people that you've worked with, but maybe just tell us like maybe the difference that you made for a firm that I know you work with a lot of them, but.
Sure. Yeah. So there's three different areas that we're coaching around. And so the way we say it is the $1 Million Advisor. That's the advisor who've yet to break $1 million in revenue. What we teach is so prominent, Julie, that even a startup coaching business, a little coaching business, went from startup to 7 figures of revenue in less than a year's time. It works that good when you put all the things together. So I'm literally doing what I'm teaching others to do. So if you're under $1 million, it's all about attract and convert. We have to focus on that. And so it's not unusual when we have our live events, which are twice a month, for one of our clients to come in and say, our win for this month was, like one of our new clients, been with us 60 days, he said, I literally just landed the 2 largest clients of our entire firm. He's like, and I texted him, I said, how'd you do that? Through our message, he said, I just basically applied the principles you taught me in what we call the launchpad sequence, and it worked. And I just landed the 2 largest clients of the entire firm with over 70 advisors. Okay, so that's a win for that $1 million advisor. It's attracting and converting that new client. But then when you break through $1 million, there's a band there between $1 million and $3 million of revenue. And this happens in the financial advisory space, in the insurance space, in the CPA space, in the legal space, all of us professional services, there's a band there. And that area is not about necessarily gaining new customers. Instead, it's about systematization. So I have one of our clients who I'm actually speaking at his national event. He said, Justin, I didn't worry about gaining new clients. I worried about systematizing. He was working 80 hours plus a week beforehand, working Saturdays and Sundays. Now he has taken off multiple different week-long trips, and his company is working 30 to 40 hours a week, and his company is growing. Or another one that shared something on LinkedIn, it was a father. He wants to pass his firm down to his 2 children who are in the business, a sizable, very profitable business. But he said, Justin, my wife and I haven't been on vacation in some time. I can't get away. He was doing everything from like negotiating insurance contracts to working with HR, just doing so many things that shouldn't be in his job description. We worked on his structure for about 9 to 12 months. We held him to take 3 weeks off in March of this year. He went on vacation, and in his absence, his son, who had never done this before, closed a $2+ million new client and has since closed $10 million of referrals from that client following the structure. So
and you're
now
working with both of them?
We're working with father and son within the company, right? So
nice.
they have systems that allows the owner to step away.
Yes.
A lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to work in this area. Once you break through 3 million, just as a sidebar, now it's all about autonomy. It's about building a team who can run without you. And we've got 3 of our clients in our billionaire boardroom program that is just moving exponentially there. It's a lot of fun to work in this area.
Well, and they aspire to be like you, right? 1 day a week or 1 day a month, you said.
If they decide, some of them do, right? Yes, some of them want to work less and work 1 day a month. Some of them are like, I've got some of our clients who are like, hey, I've got to close my wealth gap. If I sell my practice right now, it's worth about 3 to 5. I've got to get this thing to 6 to 8. I only got 3 years left before my wife says we got to retire because whatever. I just am over this. And they're at that short timer syndrome mentality. So we got to double the business. Others, it may be, how do I bring in a junior advisor? And before they can bring in the junior advisor that's going to stick and it's going to allow the company to scale, we have to have all the structures in place out of the owner's mind. So it may take us 2 years to build the infrastructure before they're able to actually bring in an associate help. So it just depends on what the goal is of the client, but it all fits within a simple framework that we just walked through.
Are you using AI to create those knowledge centers so that they can download, I should say, like their intellectual property, right?
Yeah, so what we do is we use what's called accelerated implementation. Early in the coaching business, and you probably experienced this as well as you were going up through your businesses, we had the position of, hey, I'm going to do a done for you, which is where we go and hire somebody to build our website for us. Y'all do it, they turnkey it, it comes back with their flavor, their spin on it. Not bad, but it's a done for you service. Another one is done with you, which okay, I'm going to hire a website company, but now I'm going to help pick out the pictures and I'm going to help figure out the text. I'm going to figure out where the buttons go on the page. Both of those are slow or costly, and they don't allow what's called rapid acceleration. So what we've done is I've invested heavily into our own AI operating system. So whenever we get through our launch phase, which is the first 60 days, then we go into a bespoke model because every business is different. They're all dealing with different pressure points at that particular area, at that particular time. So in the bespoke model, it's about figuring out what is keeping them stuck for that quarter, following our 90-day sprints like so many of us utilize, they've learned. And then allowing AI to accompany and to sit on top of or aside the 4 hours plus of live coaching that I'm giving with these clients per month. So they're getting 4+ hours of me in order to help them break through whatever the resistance is. Plus we have a 6-figure plus operating system that's there live to help them specifically with almost 100 tools specific for financial advisors in the CEO mindset, not the technical mindset of how to do our work as advisors. So it works with it. That allows you to accelerate.
Yeah, the business side of it, that's really where a lot of practitioners, regardless of their discipline, really struggle. So that's awesome that you're helping them with that. That's how you scale. Well, so let's talk about what's on the horizon then for you and for your firm. I don't know where you are right now, but I love your background. Looks like you're in someplace fun.
I'm at my actual house here in Tennessee. This is the living room, and so I decided just to kind of set up here today. On the horizon, I've got 2 books coming out. One of them I hope is going to reach New York Times bestseller list. As you know, it's been a desire of mine for many years, and so I'm working diligently on this new book called The Decamillionaire Way. And it's about how practitioners, specifically business owners, can elevate their practices in a very short time or their businesses in a very short time to have a decamillionaire net worth, a $10 million net worth or greater. This is what we teach, this is what we practice, this is what I've been teaching and spewing into the microphone for years. So the book is a big headwind for us. Hopefully it's going to come out just before the EPI Summit next spring. On top of that, our podcast, Decamillionaire Decoded, is currently in the top 100 of all business podcasts internationally, globally. We're up there with the greats like Alex Hormozi, Dave Ramsey, Patrick Bet-David, and many others that people would recognize. So our podcast is reaching a lot of grounds. But most of what we're focusing on right now, Julie, is using our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel, I'm literally teaching, giving away the tricks and the techniques that we do in the coaching program. I believe this. Knowledge is so cheap today. With the onset of AI, we no longer possess the keys to the knowledge kingdom. Right. So I want to give away everything that I've got. We're putting it out there on YouTube. What I've discovered is, and you've seen this in your own practice, the more I give away, the more that I want to hire a coach, because I look at it, I'm like, yeah, I can do that, and I can do that, but what order do I put those in, and how do I customize it specific to my needs without me guessing it? So we've been giving a lot of stuff away on YouTube. In fact, we have a link that we're going to share in the show notes for a video for those who like, hey, what exactly is Goodbread doing to scale an advisory practice from start to 7 figures in less than a year? Is a video walks you exactly what we do, and there's a cool secret word inside the video. So y'all stay tuned to watch that.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll have to make sure that we put that link in the show notes so that people can access it. Fantastic. So good to see you. So good to have you on the show. I really appreciate you being here. So happy about all your success and everything that you're doing to change the world. Always inspirational.
Thank you, friend. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, listeners, for being with us. Hope you enjoyed this video version of Poised for Exit. Join us again next time.